Hello everyone and welcome back to Learn to Learn. Today I would like to share with you the best books to learn French. So let's go! And the first book I would like to present is actually my book, the one I wrote. It's called Remember French Forever. So what is it? Actually, when you learn a language from scratch, it's good to learn the most frequent words, the most used words in the language, and I decided to create a book and a method to memorize those words. So how does it work? Let's have a look. You can choose a category. You have 60, I think it's 60 topics, 90 topics actually, it's even more. And you can choose, of course, you have a physical description, history, clothes, in the city. You can choose one topic you would like to learn. For example, we can check with history here. And how does it work? It's very simple. You have between 10 and 12 words per category here that you have to find in the crosswords. Why is this activity? It's to memorize the way it's spelled and the word itself, of course. The second activity is to cover this part, and here you have the same words that you had to find in a crossword here, repeated, and you have to complete them with your memory. Don't worry, if you don't remember, you can still check here. After 3 days, you come back, you cover this part, you look at this part, and you translate here these words in English or your mother tongue if you don't want to translate them in your mother tongue if it's not English. Okay? So French, English, and then here you come back in 7 days, so 1 week after you started the first activity. You cover this part, of course. Here it will be in English or your mother tongue, and you try to translate again the words into French. So this is a way to practice space repetition. Practice repetition is the best way to memorize vocabulary in a language. So this method is great. It's a method I use to learn the most frequent words in Swedish, and in my book, it's very beautiful actually, the cover is very nice. In my book you have 1,200 words, the most frequent one, divided in 90 topics. So yeah, this is one of the best books I think to learn vocabulary in French. I will try to make it also for Spanish and English for French speakers. The second book I would like to share with you is Complete French from Teach Yourself. Complete French is great if you want to have a core book where you learn grammar, conjugation, vocabulary all together, like if you were in a classroom. If you buy the complete version, this is the one I recommend by the way, you will start from A1 and you will end up at the end, if you study very well, in the B2 level of the language. I used this version for Swedish. It was for me the best book I had to learn to teach myself a language, and I really like Complete because it's divided in comprehensive chapters from A1 to B2, and it looks very nice inside. You have a couple of authentic documents, you can see here for example, with questions. You have a lot of audio, of course there is an audio coming with an audio MP3, and for each chapter you have to listen a lot, do a lot of activities. It's very nice, I really like it. The vocabulary is always explained, French, English, as you can see here, and you have also activities of translations, and I really like translation because you cannot lie to yourself if you don't know something, if you don't know how to translate from, for example, English to French. There is no surprise, there is no room for approximation. So I really like actually translation activities, especially when you start to learn the language. You work on the 4 skills, that's why it's complete. You work on the 4 skills for each one of the chapters. Written comprehension, written production, speaking also, and of course oral comprehension. So this book is great. It has a lot of documents and a lot of conversations in natural context as well, as you can see here. I don't know if you can see very well, but you have conversation in natural French, and then a couple of questions about the conversation that you can also listen to at the same time as you are reading it. So for me, complete collection, if you are learning French or Swedish, Spanish, any language, is one of the best, seriously. I really advise it. So I would give this book, Complete French, 4.5 out of 5. And the last resource I would like to share with you is Short Stories in French. It's a collection of books from Holly Richards. And it's great because you have a couple of short stories. I will show you in French here. But you don't have you don't have any explanation in English or any other language. You have to read by yourself and try to understand as much as you can. Of course, for each chapter you have a couple of words translated in English, but not so many, so you have to do the job to try to understand as much as you can by yourself. For example, in this chapter we have like 15 to 20 words explained. At the end of every chapter you have a little summary in French, in the target language, and a couple of questions about the chapter to check if you understood it well. I like short stories because it allows me to practice reading comprehension and of course to improve my vocabulary in the language. It's exactly what I did with Swedish. It was very hard at the beginning because you have to be careful. This book collection is from A2 to B1. It's not for great beginners. If you are A0, you never studied French before, don't buy it. You have to wait a little bit. I would recommend to go through Complete French before. If you go halfway in Complete French, then you can start to read short stories. Short stories get more and more complicated. You have like 8 stories, I think, per book. And it starts with like a kind of easy story to understand. It increases a little bit. The difficulty increases a little bit all along the stories and chapters. Another good thing about short stories, and something everybody should do when one learns a language, is you can read. You can read, and at the same time you have your headphone, and you can listen to the audio of the story. So you read and listen at the same time. This will help you to practice your oral comprehension, because sometimes we have no clue about the way a word is spelled in a language. Like, for example, in French or Swedish is completely different sometimes from the way it's spelled. So when you listen to something, you have no idea of what they're talking about. So here you can listen and read at the same time. This is a very good pro with this book, Short Stories. Short stories exist in I think around 15 languages. You have for Norwegian, Swedish, Spanish, Arabic, Japanese, Korean, Norwegian, Danish, Italian, and more. What I like also about short stories is that the grammar is very comprehensible. It's very easy to understand, comprehensive, and it's not overwhelming. You can really discover and understand the grammar by yourself without really learning the rules. Of course, you need some preparation before that. So short stories, yes, I recommend it, but you have to wait a little bit. Don't buy it if you are A0 or total beginner in the language. So to conclude this video, and I think the most important part of this video actually, how to start to learn French. I would recommend to get this book, Remember French Forever. You will find the link down below. Actually, you will find the link of every single book down below, so you can check. Why this one? Because you need to build solid foundations to know as many frequent words as you can before you start really to get into the language. So just try to use this book to learn as many words as you can. In the meantime, of course, you can use Complete French. This is the main core, okay? This goes beside to Complete French. You can start with this one, of course, to build a little bit of vocabulary, but you can always use this as a main foundation of your learning journey in French. Okay, so this is like your teacher or your classroom at home. And once you completed, let's say, half of the chapters of Complete French, which will give you approximately the advanced beginner level A2, if you complete half of it and understand it, of course, because completing activities is one thing, but understanding them is another thing. And once you did this, I advise you to buy French short stories in order to improve your reading comprehension and oral comprehension with the MP3. Be careful, you have to pay for the MP3, so it's an add-on. It's like $5, I think. It's not so expensive because this book is like, you can see here, 11 pounds. So 13 euros, 14 euros, so it's quite cheap. So let's say it costs 15 euros, this book plus MP3. This book is more expensive, of course, because you have everything for the language from A1 to B2. It costs approximately 30 euros. But you don't need to purchase or buy the add-on. It's included inside. And my book is around $10 on Amazon that you can find. It's extremely cheap for the quality and how much it will help you to learn and build a very solid foundation of vocabulary in French. Of course, you can purchase or buy. Oh my God, I hate this word, purchase, whatever it is. You can buy these books at the same time. Of course, these two. It's what I would advise. Actually, you can start. You do one lesson per day here during your free time when you commute, go somewhere, or just go to the park and have fun with this book, and then you go back to this one and this one after some time. Voilà, fini, j'ai terminé. I hope it was very useful for you guys, this video, guys and girls, and you will find the link of these books down below. If you have any question or would recommend other resources, please comment. Let me know, what do you think? Thank you very much and have a nice day wherever you are. Bye. Bye.